adopted without.
The item that I know, we had a bunch of, Ricky, what's that item that we got to? What is it?
R7AC?
R7AC, is that the land purchasing?
Yeah, the RFP.
All right, let's get that out.
R7AC is issue RFP competitive listing for sale of select city properties, R7AC.
I'm not sure who's going to tee this up from staff, but before people freak out, we are not selling anything. This is simply to go or get an RFP to get a listing for the sale, just to get some interest going, just to see what's out there, what kind of proposals we might get. Decisions are way off into the future, but this is really just to get sort of some market information on city properties.
Why don't you come in, Adrian, explain to us, explain to everybody. It's R7AC?
Correct.
R7AC.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. So this item is essentially to allow City Manager to put together an RFP for the potential sale of properties the city owns, including the North Shore Library site and adjacent parking lots with the folios listed in the item, and then further issuing, for us to be able to work with a broker for additional sites that are not as complex. We do have a contract for brokerage services with CBRE. Those lots included are there's a lot on 87 Terrace at 266 87 Terrace. There's a lot on 8100 Hawthorne and a lot on 63rd and Pine Tree. And then coming back further in September with the Barclays, which is currently being reviewed for a structural assessment to make that determination based on appraisal we have. So this would essentially allow us to put together an RFP for the sites listed in the item, and we will work during recess to be able to put that back, bring that back to you in September.
Yeah, what I was trying to say before people start freaking out, we're not selling anything here, right? This is just a procedural item that we have to do just to go out and sort of test the market and get some real indications of interest. The sale of property may be ours, may be the voters, depending on what we decide if we make any decision. But some folks, I think all of us, want to see money go to develop the Byron Carlisle. Many of us want to see additional funds going to finish the aquatic center and or other uses. We can't do any of those things unless we at least test the market to see what's out there. And so, I hope this is not controversial, because we're not doing anything other than issuing an RFP at this point.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I've gotten a handful, not more, of emails where people seem to think we're getting rid of the library in North Beach, and they're saying, and they're all worried about that. And so I just wanted to clarify something for the record, because I think there's an enormous misunderstanding that is being circulated. The emails I'm getting are people saying we should have an ability to weigh in on what we do with the library. So I want to remind everybody what happened. We had 3 years ago, we put on the ballot a general obligation bond that included 57 projects. And I went and had them check for us. One of those projects was a 72nd Street project, which we are building it's entitled Park, Library, and Aquatic Center. We are building a brand new park, a library, and aquatic center in the 72nd Street, what is now a surface lot. And in fact, we sent that to the voters. People wanted to know if they had any ability to weigh in on the library. Not only did they have ability to weigh in, it was a citizens committee that recommended. There were approximately 5 large public meetings with various HOAs, charrettes, and informations. There was this item was on the agenda at every one of the GO Bond Committee meetings, approximately 28 of them. Prior to that, it was discussed at almost every GO Bond advisory panel meeting, approximately 10 meetings. Before the advisory panel existed, the project and its scope was discussed at many commission meetings from 2016 on. The project evaluation committee included North Beach residents, Carolina Jones, Daniel Viesha, Vieta, and the current Oversight Committee has Laura Vieta, John Bose, who I see is here, and Carolina Jones as well, previously Wendy Squire, all North Beach residents. The point I'm making is that nobody is getting rid of the North Beach Library. What the voters voted on, I think it's 70% in 2018, was to build a brand new library next to a park, next to a community center with a bunch of community amenities in that surface parking lot on 72nd Street. So the current library, which is on a few blocks away, that is going to become a vacant lot. It's about 5 parcels, I think about 5 parcels, and that is going to become a vacant lot because we are building a brand new library on the 72nd Street parking lot, along with a bunch of other things, including a pool and a park and other things. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a community center. It's very exciting. It needs some more money, by the way, because as prices have gone up, the costs of these projects have gone up. So we are looking for more money to do that. We have about 5 parcels of land around the city. Some of them are waterfront, like on Pine Tree Drive. If you're driving down Pine Tree, at the very end of Pine Tree, before 61st Street, there's an empty lot there, right on the water. Looks like it ought to have a house on it. Right now, it's just an empty lot. We're probably going to sell that for something. The reason why we want to do it now, number one, is it's a great time to sell. And number two, these are just surplus lands. And this 5-acre area is going to become an empty lot when this library is built on the 72nd Street thing. So nobody is taking a library away from North Beach. To the contrary, the voters, after about 50 meetings and an election, by a point of 70%, said, we want you to build us a brand new library on 72nd Street, which is what we're going to do. So Adrian put together this to sort of at least test to see what we could get. And I think in terms of that particular 72nd, in terms of the those 5 parcels where the library currently sits, you've got a lot of incarnations potentially of that. Somebody could say, I'd like to build a building. Somebody could say, I'd like to build a community asset in a building. This is what I would pay for it. We're just trying to figure out what we could do with it that makes sense for the neighborhood, because frankly, it's in the middle of it's a parking lot right now. That's what it is. It's a parking lot, and it's going to be a parking lot next to an empty lot at some point, and we have to decide what we want to do with it, and that's what we're doing. So all of these emails I've been getting, I'm not sure why, but they're all absolutely misinformed. We're not taking a library away from North Beach. I think there were 50 meetings where the public said they wanted a new library in North Beach, which is what we're doing. So with that, Commissioner Ariola, do you want to, we have to approve your item?
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner
Mayor, if I
Sanders.
could be recognized. We've heard these items at Finance, and I am open to continuing this process of an RFP. As has been stated, we're not going to be selling anything. This needs to be a transparent process. There'd have to be readings at Finance, multiple hearings. So all that is fine. But I do want to tee up a couple considerations as the body looks at moving forward with this, because I too have received some of the emails and the Facebook. Seems like a lot of questions and confusion here. And our CRA Advisory Committee requested community outreach on the 72nd Street project, the Byron Carlisle, and given the discussion, maybe the library. So I would like to make 2 points. One, if we are going to move forward, particularly with the library site, that we do a community charrette, that we meet with the stakeholders, that they understand the process, that they understand the cost updates of the 72nd garage. I think it's almost double, and that they get clarity around what's up with the Byron Carlisle. That's point one. The second point I would like to put on the table, if it's the will of this body, the Neighborhoods Committee took a unanimous motion that any sale of public property would prioritize the renovation of the Byron Carlisle. It makes sense. If you're going to sell one asset to reinvest in another asset, logic my colleague Commissioner Richardson has brought forward, which I think does make sense, that you would take an asset that's in disrepair, can't be used, and get that done. I think that might quiet some people, not all people, who would then say, oh, I see, we're selling this asset because we need to fix an asset we've got. And that was a unanimous motion from the Neighborhoods Committee. I happen to be there and support that, so I would suggest that that represents 4 people who thought that. And I think that would also go a long way in this process. Some of these RFPs may involve voter referendums. We need to do this right. So I had asked my colleagues if we could include a charrette, and if we could also adopt the motion made by the Neighborhoods Committee to prioritize the Byron Carlisle. I welcome my colleagues' thoughts.
Okay. This came up at Finance on Friday when we were having the discussion, and I made my comments. I kind of I told you guys what I was really thinking about this. This is a very significant item. The sale of public lands is something very unusual. We're selling off probably the only properties we can sell if this goes through. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-10-year item. I've never actually participated in a vote that I recall of selling off land. Maybe I haven't forgotten it, but I know that it's very, very unusual. It's also the common practice of this commission that we rarely stray from, that RFPs come before the commission for a vote. I know that on rare occasion we have authorized the manager to do an RFP that we haven't reviewed, but that is the exception and not the norm. So this is just a very weird item for 3 reasons to me. Number one, it wasn't on the agenda. It came after the Friday finance meeting on supplemental. So a lot of members of the public feel that they haven't had adequate time to consider it and that it's being forced and rushed on them. Number two, it involves the sale of public land, so my antennas go up that it's something very important, and I want to see what the RFP and what the follow-up process would look like. And number three, RFPs rarely of this type are done sooner than 60 days. They take 60 days, 90 days. I've seen them take 120 and more days to come together with an RFP when it's something complex. And I don't think this is something that they can just cut and paste from a different RFP that they've done because it's unusual, it's different. My preference would be to defer this, to bring this at the September meeting with the RFP in the agenda so that we have adequate time to digest and better understand what it is that we're doing, and the public has better time to digest. Along with what Samuelin said, I would not have a problem calling for a charrette before the September 17th meeting. I think the public would like that. And I think at that time, you could discuss the Byron Carlisle and other projects that could be funded from the sale of these properties. And you may get more public buy-in rather than kind of distrust and not knowing what we're doing. I think if we get the buy-in from the public on the front end, it's better than having all of this dissension and uncertainty and speculation and accusations and all kinds of things that I'm seeing via email and social media and other channels. So from my perspective, the good government, so to speak, approach is defer this, bring it back September 17th with the RFP in the agenda, do a charrette leading up to the September 17th meeting and discuss whatever's going to happen or not happen and what can be funded or not funded and how we can prioritize that. I think the public would like it. I think it's a win-win. And I don't think you're slowing anything down because I really seriously doubt that they're going to get an RFP ready to go out on the street before September 17th anyway.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, you can do all of these things in parallel, right? I mean, whether it's the Byron Carlisle or anything else that we want to fund, it's very likely we're going to involve the sale of an asset, and for a lot of the reasons the mayor said, you know, we're going to have dormant assets. You know, the library will become dormant, and then it's just going to be sitting there, so it's got to be repurposed. So we are going to be likely selling some assets at some point in the future. This is just to get the RFP process going. No decisions are being made. We can have community charrettes, we can develop priorities, all of that in parallel. Like, nothing is being rushed here, but if we want to, you know, put a stake in the ground and tell the community, hey, look, we are appropriating $10 million, $15 million for the Byron Carlisle, it would be nice to be able to do that at some point in our lifetime. If we just keep deferring things, we're never going to get there. And so I don't see the harm in doing this. You can do all the things you both mentioned in parallel. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. We can go this route and the route of the charrettes and developing a priority schedule. This doesn't affect any of that.
Yeah.
I don't see the harm.
Let me just.
The harm I see is the delay, the further delay.
And let me add to that. We're not committing to anything. All we're trying to do is figure out what the market might give us for these surplus properties we're going to have. And they may be that we decide we don't care if somebody offers us $70 million. We want to add more park to the park next door to it. That's fine too. But I can tell you this, and I am 100% sure this will happen. If we say we're not going to do this until we do all these other things, we will be here in 2 years talking about this. And all the people who say, I want the Byron Carlisle, or I want this, or I want that, will be waiting for agreement to happen. What we need to know is the value of these properties and how they might be in the marketplace so that we can have charrettes and so people can make a decision. Well, my goodness, if somebody said to me, I would give you $50 million for the 2 lots on Collins, but those 3 lots on the ocean you can purpose for whatever you want, we would want to know that because now we know how much money we have for that. If somebody else said, I would give you $100 million, but I don't want to do this, we would get that idea too. The point is, what you all seem to want to do is go through a process to come to agreement about money you have no idea you have, and then go back to see whether you have that money, and then go back to see whether that's what you want to spend it on. Commissioner Early is right. I fully agree we should have charrettes. I fully agree we should involve the public. But we can't do any of that till somebody who buys things for a living tells us what they might buy this for and how they might want to program it. So I agree with Samuel, let's go ahead and organize charrettes, but what are we going to be debating if we have no idea what the market would present to us? And in the meantime, let the manager do an RFP that just at least puts out there, she's not committing us to anything other than somebody telling us what they might offer and how they would want to program these areas. I mean, I've watched our commission now. I've only been mayor for 3 years, but it's amazing to me how many times we take an issue that binds us up and it just goes on and on and on. And by the way, a lot of these issues I wasn't on the commission for, and they're still percolating as if they're going to just go on forever. Well, I think the community we have a commitment to the community to build a really beautiful library in 72nd Street. I'd like to do that. This may be the way to do it. I'd like to do the Byron Carlisle for $20 million is apparently what that's going to cost. But we can't start any of that till somebody says, this is what I would pay for this property, this is what I would pay for that property, and that's all we're going to do. So I agree, let's organize all the charrettes, but we can do this all at the same time. This way we don't spend the next 6 months to a year, and that's what it will be, debating what we want with money we don't know we have for projects we don't know can even be sold. Let's find that out while we're testing the community. This stuff that I've been getting the emails is just people think because we're talking about selling a library site that we're getting rid of the library. I think they just all forgot that we actually voted to build a new library, and that's a covenant of the bonds that the city is committed to. So that's going to happen, but we actually need a little more money to make it a little bit nicer. So I think we ought to do what Commissioner Ariel has suggested, but also do what Commissioner Samuelin suggested and start some charrettes up, because I think that would help people focus on what it is we should be looking to do. And by the way, at the same time, wouldn't it be amazing if we look like we could easily raise money, or we have to put something on the ballot because it's like the Pine Tree property, everybody knows it's just this little quarter acre on Pine Tree Drive that's just sitting there with, I don't know what it's used for other than for dumping, frankly. People dump on it sometimes. But it would be nice if we could program that so it's not inactive. If we could sell it, that would be great. We know we have that money, and we can commit that money to something specific. So, I don't want to just kick this down the road. I'd like us to try to do something that we can deliver to the residents, something that they might actually really want and need. Commissioner Gongora, I see your hand up.
let me turn my mic on. Those were some good points. I don't think that there's much of a difference between what you're saying and what my position is. Your position is, let's authorize the administration to develop and issue an RFP during our recess. I asked during my agenda review, could they get that done during the recess? They said maybe. I asked, how long do they usually take on RFPs? I was told 30 to 90 days. We have a commission meeting in less than 60 days. I don't know what the math is, like in 50 days. I don't understand why we are doing an unusual procedure when this involves the sale of property rather than our more normal procedure, which is we authorize them to develop the RFP and bring it back to us at the September 17th meeting like we normally do RFPs. It's in the agenda, in the C2 section. It normally passes on consent. We all have the opportunity to read it and see what it is. The public has the opportunity to read it. That's the step that I don't like, that we're cutting out our ability to review the RFP, and we're just saying, issue it in the recess.
Well, look, that's a fair point. I mean, look, I'd say this. We do a lot of micromanaging of this. This is not the kind of RFP that we typically do. This is really just to test the waters for purchase of property. And it's sort of a simple one, and so I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure why the manager needs that long, and we need to even approve it. We have a manager form of government. This is such a simple task that I'm pretty certain that she could put it together, Adrian could put it together, and you guys, and we could get it out there. By the way, perfectly happy for her to send around an LTC on it also if we want to just see it. I just think we keep waiting for things, and it's a 60-day wait this time. And then, I mean, look, we should know ourselves. If we're given an opportunity to review something and extend it another 30 or 60 days, we almost always do. Most of the measures we just looked at today were in that same category. So if you want to wait, that's fine. I just think that the community up there is anxious. And by the way, if we're going to put something on the ballot for the residents to hear, that also has some deadlines to it, because that's a waterfront property, and that probably isn't nothing's happening to that, whatever it may be, unless it goes on the ballot. So we want to give the residents a chance. So I just wanted us to at least get what Commissioner Early wants to do is at least get a sense of what the market will bear on these properties, so that we can get into the important work of figuring out what we would do and if it's worth it. And I'm happy to organize. I think the administration should organize charrettes about these exact points. But I think if we keep waiting, I just have watched our commission. We've all watched it. Just find something that we don't, and then wait and micromanage. And at the end of the day, our residents end up wondering why, why something that they wanted is taking so long. And some of these projects are in the first tranche. That 72nd Street project, part of it is, I think, in tranche 1, and the second part is in tranche 2. We'd love to be able to figure out if we're going to be able to fund it at a level that we committed to, and we could provide those things to that community. That is exactly what North Beach wanted. So I just want to move on it. But look, if we want to wait another 60 days and then discuss the RFP then, and that's the will. If anyone else wants to be heard, Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I will say that I do think that there are people that are misinformed, and sadly, I have to say, probably for what could be inappropriate reasons. I woke up that there's a social media post by a former commissioner who's now a candidate that is saying that I want to sell the property, the oceanfront property, and I've been on record numerous times saying that I want to retain that for a green space. That's a matter of public record, and so you have to wonder if the misinformation is being caused for political gain. Really, I have to say that. Yes. It's pathetic, really. Yes. So I have been on record numerous times saying that I want to retain those back 3 lots behind the library as green space to connect the Altos to the Ocean Terrace. I do think that we should look at selling the library lot and the adjoining parking lot if we have the right offer in front of us. And so my position's been clear. In fact, I just said last week that I wouldn't today even consider selling all five lots. So, but sometimes people say things for their own reasons, sadly. You know, I feel like we just are going to keep kicking the can down the road. And Commissioner Samuel, and you and I had this conversation last week, and I certainly acknowledge that the Byron Carlisle is a priority, but remember I said it's not the priority because John, our CFO, gave us a list of about 6 or 7 items in the city that are have urgent funding needs, and I consider them all priorities. The fleet management facility, the 72nd Street. So there are many things within our city that are a priority, and I'm happy to acknowledge that they're all a priority. But I'm not going to agree if what you're asking is for us to make the Byron Carlisle the priority, and I said that last week, and I'm saying that again today. And to your point, where we have an asset, I think there's a very strong possibility that asset will be demolished because it'll be too costly for us to fix that, and a new building will be constructed there. And I think the numbers I'm seeing with a gray shell and a build-out are probably closer to $35 million. And by the way, that building has been condemned officially. We certainly, as a community, want to get something done at the Byron Carlisle, but we want to get something done at 72nd Street as well, which would be transformative for that region. So, you know, we keep hearing that we're selling property. We're not selling anything today. All we're doing, as the mayor said, trying to figure out is a property worth $10 million or $15 million, and we would never transfer, if we do decide to sell that library, we would never transfer that property until the new library is open. So the community would never be without a library. But that's, again, something that individuals have been misinformed about. So I think this is a pretty straightforward RFP. I don't see anything that would cause us to hold it up. I'm in support of giving the manager, we've already given guidance last week, the Finance Committee did, and some of the other members were there as well, on what that RFP should look like. We've already got brokers. Let's just find out what it's worth so we don't lose time. I'm fine for charrettes, and I think that when we do that charrette, hopefully we'll have the independent poll that this body has commissioned. We'll have that back, and we can share that with the members of the community that are participating in the charrette, and then they can react to what the community has asked for. So we'll have even more information. I think so. I would like to certainly move forward with all of these things. So, Mr. Mayor, has the item been moved?
Commissioner Earl, have you moved your item?
So I'm going to second the item, and I will. I share your view, Mayor, that this is a straightforward RFP, and we could, as part of that, ask the city manager to send out some sort of memorandum if she wants to let us know what that's going to look like, or if she has any questions. But I don't see any reason to hold this up. We're not selling anything. All we're doing is trying to find out what interest there is in the community. So, thank you.
Okay. Items have moved and seconded. Anyone else need to be heard? Commissioner Minor?
I guess my issue is a little different. It's more procedural. And so we discussed this at length at Finance, so it didn't even dawn on me, but somebody called into my town hall last night, and then I heard subsequently, because when we discussed it at Finance, even though we were living and breathing this stuff and we discussed it at length, it wasn't on any agenda, right? Because it's just under the Finance. And then it goes on late because it goes on late on the agenda as a supplement, which was only done because Finance, we discussed it last Friday, so we then put it on. So it didn't seem, and I don't think we were doing anything to try to hide the ball, but I think some people think that perhaps maybe we're doing that, and I think we need to be sensitive to even the appearance that we're doing that we're trying to be less than transparent. So when I hear that, it gets I'm on high alert that we shouldn't even have the appearance that we're doing it. So, and then coupled with that is, as we discussed at Finance, we sort of kind of waived our typical process where the commission, as Commissioner Gongora spelled out, and we were giving Alina authority that generally we don't do. And Alina explained that at the county, that's pretty standard that the city manager would issue it, but it's generally not the way we do it. So coupled with the late supplement, with that aspect, again, I don't think we were doing anything wrong. It didn't even dawn on me because we were living and breathing it and we've discussed it so many times. But for somebody who's looking at an agenda, I could see where perhaps it raised some questions. So I had concerns about that. And I think Commissioner Gongora was asking, I don't know if we ever got an answer, what the difference in timing would be if we were to wait till September to issue it, or whether, Alina, you would just be issuing it if we gave you this authority.
How long would it take? Adrian or Elena?
Well, as all of you know, this came up on Friday. Today is Wednesday, and all we've done all weekend is work and prepare for today. We are scheduled to regroup together next week, and I ask that everyone have draft scopes ready for preparation for discussion next week. When Commissioner Gongora asked me the question last night, I told him that I actually did not know what the standard time was here for preparation of an RFP. I told him that in the county, depending on the complexity of the scope, that it could take anywhere between 30 to 60 days. I remember very clearly telling all of you at the Finance Committee that I didn't want to create a false expectation, that I felt that it was very important that whatever was developed, that the scope was comprehensive enough to obviously accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and I had hoped that we at least had some basic parameters that could be incorporated into that scope. So all that being said, and given people's availability, including our attorneys, it would require that everyone be available, make themselves available to finalize this document. So depending on what information we already have, which I'm not aware of because I haven't had time to meet with our staff till next week, it could take, 2-3 weeks to pull this together, but everyone would basically have to make themselves available to finalize the document, including our attorneys.
We're available. It's just an RFP. It's not
Just an RFP.
Okay.
I'm getting messages. I don't know if you're taking public comment, but people are texting me that they have their hands raised to speak.
Let's.
Hold on, so what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of Commissioner Minor's question as the timeline? Like, because I understand the reason, I guess you want to see the RFP first, correct?
We have nothing as of right now, so I need to work with staff, make sure the normal process would be that they would get together, that they would draft a scope, that they would draft all of the parameters, they would discuss that with legal, they would vet that. That would usually take X amount of time, dates, and it's August. Some of us are having surgery, some of us are taking vacations, and so there are calendar issues associated with August. So we got to make sure that everyone is available and ready to review and feel comfortable with finalizing this document. So it could take 30 days to finalize.
Mayor, I'll just, I know you got to get to, you're trying to land the airplane. So, and I know we're trying to get some information here, but if the members want to wait until the September 17th to finalize a final RFP, we are going to lose a little bit of time, but we're not going to lose a couple of months. I think you said you're okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think it's a pretty straightforward RFP, but if that gives people comfort, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are, and that's fine. By the way, we're still not selling anything.
Correct. I mean, and by the way, all the people that are antagonizing us, they're going to antagonize us.
Sure, exactly.
Not a damn thing's going to change.
Exactly.
We know that. And
It's
so,
in their
the
bones.
comments here, like, process. How many times have we been working on something feverishly, sometimes for years, and at the 11th hour, somebody shows up and says, I never got notice. Like, this happened, this complaint is just constant. It's constant. Like, let's just do our jobs, for heaven's sakes. In September, nothing's going to change. The same people that are going to complain today and that are texting Commissioner Gongora are going to be the same ones complaining that this is an outrage.
They'll just say that now they don't
But
like the
we'll
RFP.
lose 2 months, though. We will lose 2 months.
We will.
And market timing is important. The market is hot
prices
now.
will
If we wait
go up.
a year
Yeah.
and it's cold next year, maybe the properties are worth 30% less. And then we do have to wait 2, 3, 4 years until the market picks up again. And then that Byron Carlisle will never get done, my friend. So
Right,
quit playing games.
Commissioner
Really quickly,
Steinberg.
just another quick question. I don't know at finance when you guys discussed this, some of the properties, like when I look at, like, for instance, Pine Tree, I think about the fact that we have stormwater work that we're going to be doing. have we taken into account, because no one wants the pump next to them, no one wants the infrastructure next to them, but here's a parcel that could have been used for a lot of the things that we would want to do are we looking at what our future plans are in each of these areas to ensure that we are being mindful so that, I know we're not committing to anything because I certainly have reservations, but separately, are we looking with that eye? Are we looking with an eye towards what work is upcoming in those areas, and is that a parcel that we would have used for something with our stormwater plan that I don't want to see us neglect?
Commissioner Steinberg, to your point, in finance, and the reason it's here today is because we are going on recess and we wanted to move it. So the administration brought what they considered their first list to finance. And we had some concerns about one of those items, and so we asked that one of the items be taken off the list because we thought it needed some more vetting. And so we were comfortable with the 4 that are in front of us today, and then the Finance Committee specifically asked the administration, so it's not their fault, it's not the city manager's fault, it's our fault, because we didn't want to lose the time. So we specifically asked them to do a late amendment on this agenda so that we wouldn't lose the recess time. So that was the Finance Committee asking that the administration do that and for the mayor to adopt it so that we wouldn't lose the time. And that's why, because we didn't do that until last Friday, that's how it got added for the meeting today.
And let me,
and by the way, there's another list. There is another list. So Commissioner Gongora mentioned there may not be other properties we have to sell. We have other properties that are being vetted by the administration will come before the Finance Committee as well.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Ariela said something a moment ago that I had forgotten. Why are we moving it so quickly? The reason we wanted to do this, now it's coming back to me, is the professionals have told us it's a great time to sell. Everybody sort of knows if you have a home in Miami Beach, you're getting calls from people saying, hey, would you sell your house? I mean, that's happening every day in a lot of places. So we thought it was responsible to test the market now when frankly there's a lot of interest in the market. That's exactly why this happened. It was just the Finance Committee said let's put it on because if we can get our brokers testing the market in a reasonable way, we might get a price that's very surprising. And some of these properties are literally just vacant lots. They're not something that would be used. The library lot right now is obviously a much more intricate lot because it's 5 parcels on that's both Beachfront and Collins Avenue. So there's a lot of possibilities. So that's why I believe they drafted what they wanted to do, looking at all different types of incarnations, because they figured the market would give us a lot of different options and we get an idea. Now, we can wait. By the way, I'm happy to wait, but let's just be very clear that the reason we wanted to do this was because we thought that this is a very optimal moment right now for us to be considering selling vacant lots of the city. And so we can wait, and then we can see what the RFP looks, and then we can put it out, and then we can have charrettes, and we can see what happens then, and that's fine. But it does occur to me that a lot of the people that are, especially in North Beach, they want to spend it. I'd love to get a great, beautiful performing arts center in North Beach. It'd be great. Just where the money's coming from right now is unknown. This is an obvious option, and it's one, frankly, that a responsible public official should do if the market suggests it's the time. But I'm fine if the will of the body is to wait 60 days and then keep going. Commissioner Samuelin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a question, Adrian, or to the administrator. Is there any reason we couldn't move forward with the other properties, not the library? The library is the one that's really causing a lot of question. I would like to see a charrette in line with the CRA advisory request. They made it, came in an LTC. So can we parallel path, bifurcate, because that usually is something we do. Let's move forward with these other properties immediately. I don't think they have the complexity that the library does. Let's do the charrette with the CRA advisory group as they requested, And if colleagues want to look at the RFP for the library in September, we do that. But I don't think there's any reason to slow down these smaller properties, which probably are less controversial. So is that possible?
So just we're all on the same page. The RFP is only for the 2 library properties. The other properties are being sold through our regular broker without an RFP process. Correct.
Okay,
You could authorize the listing tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we're doing. By the way, the RFP for the library properties was just different versions of possibilities to see what the market looks like.
Right.
It includes all of the lots, it includes 2 of the lots, it includes this. Somebody may come back and say, I'd like to build something on the Collins Avenue side, and I'd like a park for the city. That's what I think makes sense for us. So, listen, whatever you guys want to do, we'll do. But now's a really good time to find out what the market would bear. But we can wait.
Well,
If I may just follow up, do you need commission action for the non-library properties outside of that parcel, like Pine Tree and the others?
Yes.
You need action from this body, otherwise that's going to sit as well.
That's correct.
Those seem to be, colleagues, different animals. The library is sort of big, complicated. We're getting a lot of questions. I do think we need public outreach. But these other properties seem a little more one-off. And for me, I would be open to moving those forward today if that's the will of the body.
So I would, Mayor, if I could, I'd just say
go ahead, Commissioner.
just so Commissioner Steinberg is clear, because she wasn't in finance, that I just want you to know that the committee spent about 4 months on this, so it's not something that we rushed through, and I don't think you were suggesting that. You were just curious about the timing. We spent about 4 months looking at properties before we decided to move these to the commission. So, and also I'll just remind, because I think procurement just said two of the lots on the library, and actually I remember from the meeting that we ask when you go out for an RFP that you present 3 options, right? It's the 2, it's the 5, and it's the 2 with a guarantee that the other 3 would be a green space. So there were 3 options. But I don't have any objection to what Commissioner Samuelin mentioned. There is a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. So if the maker of the motion, Commissioner Ariola, would like to amend that, I'm prepared just to go out. But you're right, the only one that I think is an RFP is the one involving the library. So if we wanted to move forward with the others and then do the RFP and hold that until September, if the maker of the motion wants to consider that.
I'll take that amendment as it.
And then I'll second your motion with the amendment. And so, we can
We'll move forward with all the other lots, and then we'll bring back an RFP
RFP for the library site.
in
on the
September
and
for the library.
We'll have the administration have that for us on the 17th of September.
But, Commissioner Richardson, you remind me, because I remember your words about this very topic, the library site, and I remember at least 2 meetings, you painstakingly going through it and, questioning our staff on the different parcels and, how we might do this. So, again, this notion that this is being rushed and nobody knew, there's no notice. I mean, the same people that are commenting, they pay attention to everything we do. They've known about this for a really long time. Evidence of that is how quickly they were able to jump on this. Literally, she filed her papers, and her first thing of saying, we got to stop this. So,
Right.
it's just nonsense, and we got to stop empowering this stupidity. Tens of thousands of people vote for us because they want us to do our jobs. It's the same handful of folks that are constantly aggravating us. They don't represent the will of the people. We do. People voted for us to do our job, study these issues. We can't let these handful of, people, hold up this process because we're just grinding the city down to a halt. We can't get anything done. The GO bonds were passed 3 years ago, and most of the projects are stalled.
I agree.
Because of this body's inability to make a decision, because we're so afraid of the same dozen people who are always unhappy, no matter what we do. Just get over it, guys. Move on.
Okay, all right, what's the motion?
Can I ask a quick question? So I amended my motion to reflect Commissioner Samuelin's comments. We're going to move forward and instruct the staff to issue out RFPs. I don't even know if we're not even talking RFPs
No,
anymore, are we?
it's listing,
No,
li-
letting
listing,
RFPs.
listing the properties with CBRE
Just
to
listing
list
them,
them. Yeah.
listing them, yeah.
Listing.
not
It's
even
3
RFPs.
properties, right? 3 properties would be listed and 1 property
It's
would
four.
be,
It's 4 and then the RFP.
and then the RFP.
Okay. Commissioner
Sorry.
Minor, what do you want to say?
I'm sorry,
I just want to ask,
Mayor.
do you explain the rationale between the listing, why listing and not an RFP for those properties?
These are smaller, more, less actually, these are smaller, less complicated sites. The reason for the RFP for the library site is obviously, as Commissioner Richardson, is the complexity of it. If we want to limit the type of development, if we want to limit the type of, activations in that area, we want that potential development to match the character of the neighborhood, we want to make sure that we express that into the RFP. For these other sites, which are, quarter acre parcels, and I don't have that in front of me, but they're just smaller. So there's a lot on 87th, which is seldom used. The city actually never use it. It's actually closer to Surfside. That's something that, it doesn't require, and these brokers, they specialize. They have, vacant land sales teams that specialize in this stuff, but we would put it out and just see what comes back. We could accept what they bring back, or we could decline it, and we can bring that back to you for review. At some point, anytime we sell, we're still going to have to go through that process, right? We're going to have to go through that, entire planning analysis, et cetera. So you're going to see this again, but at least we'll get the market feedback that tells us what is this worth and what potential developments are coming from it. To Commissioner Richardson's point, we spent a lot of months, many months doing this. And when we were asked to maximize the value of our entire portfolio, what we learned is we have 387 parcels we didn't know we had. We thought we had a lot less. And now we've identified smaller lots, seldom used lots, potential revenue generating lots. So these are all the things that we're going to continue to bring in finance, and we're going to bring back to you some potential ideas in the future. That's the whole point of this project as we look to diversify our revenue source.
And the way the brokerage, the listing would work is we're making someone an invitation to offer, right? So then they make the offer. We can accept the offer or decline it.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Minor, you got your questions answered? All right, let's go ahead and vote on whatever the heck he just said. Oh,
Can
Commissioner
I ask?
Rivera.
I just want to make sure I understand what I'm voting on. Okay. So the motion now defers the library to September. There's 3 other parcels. Is that what it is? That 4 other parcels.
That's correct.
That we would be instructing you to list.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're authorizing you to list at what amount?
We're going to list it based on their broker fees. We would issue a CSO to CBRE on their broker fee, and they would list the parcels based on the appraisals so we have appraisals. All these properties are backed by appraisals. We work with the brokers to put the listings out into their database and into their network, and wait to get the results back. And I don't have, my office of real estate manager isn't in today, but I will get that information for you. 30, 45 days, 60 days. It depends. We'll get those listings back rather quickly. There's been a lot of market activity. A lot of folks have been reaching out about these lots as this item has gone through finance. So we've gotten a lot of calls from a lot of brokers and a lot of folks interested in our property.
At finance, did you discuss the value you're going to list it at, or what the properties are worth?
The appraisals were included in the item, so I will gladly share that with you, Commissioner. We have all of the appraisals established on market conditions as well.
But to that point, we're not agreeing to sell at that price.
That's correct.
They've estimated the market value.
That's correct.
We're not agreeing to sell at that price, so it's not like someone could say, yes, I'll take that today.
That's correct.
We're merely putting an offer. We're inviting someone to give us an offer.
That is correct.
Which is the way governments do it.
Okay.
And so then someone could give us that price, a lower price, a higher price, and then we accept or decline the offer.
Correct.
Is one of them the Barclay, and I apologize because don't take it personally. I don't watch the finance committee meetings that I don't sit through. Is the Barclay building?
That is not on this particular item, and we stated that the reason is when we had this conversation about the Barclay, we're currently looking at the structural to determine what the condition is. We do have an appraisal, came back at 8.3 mil. We'd like to bring that back after we've done a feasibility. Actually, our capital improvement projects department has done a feasibility that should be due soon. We've had conversations with the planning director. We've had conversations with the building. So we'd like to bring that back at some point in September on the Barclays, but we're not ready for that just yet.
So are the 4 parcels then empty parcels
Yes,
of
sir.
land that
That's
are
right.
undeveloped?
Undeveloped.
Okay.
And Commissioner Gongora, on the Barclay, I don't want to rehash the entire finance committee today, but The committee also recommended that if we were to move forward with that, because there may be a better use for that than workforce or low-income housing, that 100% of the proceeds would be used for low-income or workforce housing somewhere in the city. So, but that's a discussion we'll have for another day.
And how much money approximately would these 4 parcels bring in, or if they sell for what you think is their assessed value, approximate amounts?
I didn't bring the appraisals with me, unfortunately. It ranges, Commissioner. I don't want to speak out of turn. I have all of the appraisals. I can share that. It's public record. I can share that with you via LTC if you'd like. I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately.
It was a smaller amount.
Yeah, they range from $3.5 million. You know, that parcel that we looked at on 25th and Sunset Drive, which we took off, which is considered a park, you know, that was about $7 million. I mean, from $1 million. So there's a lot of little, but I don't have it in front of me. I'll definitely share that with you.
Okay. It's fine. I think that you have the consensus. I don't feel comfortable with this item, so when I don't feel comfortable, I'm typically
No, I appreciate that. I don't think there's any bad intentions from anyone. I think a lot of the reason why some of us were saying let's move on it is frankly a couple of us, Commissioner Salmon, really want some projects up there done, and it's a great time to sell. And so we want to try to free up some capital for some really important community amenities, which are nowhere in the budget and may never be in a budget in the near future. So, you know, that was I think the good intentions of the Finance Committee. Hopefully the market won't cool down in the next 3 or 4 months or 5 months, because even after we agree, by the way, the library lot is complex, and in a sense that I think whatever we do with it, if we even separate the pieces out, and some go to public purposes and some go to commercial or some go to something else, it's likely going to we probably will have to go to the voters to look at it. So that means that whatever we're doing is going to be months out after that. So we are taking a little bit of a risk by waiting, in a sense that we don't know what the market's going to bear back then, and a lot of us want to see the city, North Beach Community Center, Cultural Center in Collins Park, other pretty good projects funded, but that said, hopefully nothing will change. All right, you have the item. Can we show it approved without objection?
Yes, sir. And
There was an objection, no?
I'm going to vote no for the record.
Oh, you're no?
Yes.
Okay.
And Commissioner Ariola voted yes prior to leaving.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move to, did we do R5M?
We have not.
Let's do R5M.
R5M is an ordinance of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of Miami Beach, Florida, amending the Code of the City of Miami Beach, Subpart B, entitled Land Development Regulations by amending Chapter 114 of the City Code, entitled General Provisions, Section 114-1, Definitions, to establish definition for production studio and related terms, and amending Chapter 142, entitled Zoning Districts and Regulations, Article 2, entitled District Regulations, Division 6, entitled CD3, Commercial High Intensity District, at Section 142-332, entitled Main Permitted Uses, to amend the list of main permitted uses for properties with a lot line on Lincoln Road between Collins Avenue and Alton Road, at Section 142-333, entitled Conditional Uses, to amend the list of conditional uses for properties with a lot line on Lincoln Road between Collins Avenue and Alton Road, and at Section 142-335, entitled Prohibited Uses, to amend the list of prohibited uses for properties with a lot line on Lincoln Road between Collins Avenue and Alton Road, and providing for codification, repealer, severability, and an effective date. This is a second reading public hearing. The item requires a 5/7 vote.
Did this pass unanimously on first reading?
I don't recall.
I believe so, Mr. Mayor. There was one change that was requested, and that was that with regard to the neighborhood fulfillment center use, that we go with the planning board recommendation to remove that as an allowable use, and the ordinance has been updated to reflect that, and we recommend that it be adopted.
Okay, we're down to 6, so this is requires 5. Let's open up public hearing. Anybody want to be heard?
We have 2 individuals. First one is Sharon. Sharon? You have 2 minutes.
Hi, I raised my hand not to speak on this issue, but to speak on the previous issue. And since you called on me and I have 2 minutes, I just want to say a word on Mayor Gelber's reading comprehension. In my email and in many others he received that I happen to be BCC'd on, no one thought that the RFP process was about getting rid of the library. Everyone was very clear that the opposition was to selling the land. I personally am opposed to selling the library parcel because it's being used to fill a funding gap for the parking garage. The GO bond was voted on with overwhelming support, and the parking garage was budgeted for approximately $50 million. If the garage can't be built for the amount that it was budgeted, the project should be canceled or scaled back so it can be brought in on budget. It's extremely poor financial stewardship to sell a valuable city asset to fill a budget shortfall for something that's being built with borrowed money. Please have a modicum of financial responsibility with our assets. Thank you.
Next caller is Wayne Roberts. Mr. Roberts, you have 2 minutes.
I want to second Sharon's comments and using the deity for a bully puppet against the community residents is abhorrent. You guys knew that the $55 million wasn't going to cut it, and the cost of that garage is going to be $125 million. And you put lipstick on a pig by putting a pool on the top and a library on the bottom, but 85% of the cost is a parking garage. And you know, whatever you guys are doing, please be honest with the public from the start, not 3 years later. And what you wanted to do was sell these lots to fulfill that obligation to the developers. And it's wrong. Be honest with the public. Say, this is what we want to do 3 years ago, not now. And then force it through. It aggravates me. The way you guys deal with government is so un-American and so wrong. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next caller has a phone number with 1733. Please state your name. Caller with 1733 as the last phone numbers. With 1733 as the last phone numbers.
Yes, hello, how are you doing? Hi, my name is Carmen Fiori. I live in 8255 Abbott Avenue.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know that Miami Beach Northeast residents are strongly opposed to the sale of North Shore Library. This is a library that is very reachable. It's very easy to get there walking or by bus. And the important thing about this is in front of the beach. It's close to the commercial part of Collins, Ocean Terrace, the Ranchera, and the Unidad. I don't think this is to be sold for some investor to make a tower and kind of privatize the area. Our library can be remodeled, expanded, and improved to become a beautiful cultural and community center where and it even can support schools. We can have different activities and even topics related to marine life can be taught. I remember that it was David Richardson during the last financial meeting who suggested the sale of the library. First to fund school programs, then to fund the parking lot with the Olympic pool that nobody wants. And now I see that also to improve the Byron Carlisle. So I wonder what the money from the UO bonds with the residents of Miami Beach are already paying with increase in property taxes is good for, if it's not going to serve the residents. And I have to tell you something else. The people voted for the UO bonds. We didn't vote, the people didn't vote to move the library.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fiori. Our next caller is Rick Kendall. Mr. Kendall, you have 2 minutes.
North Beach is very upset right now, extremely upset. We were upset when a few of you tried to tell us that Byron Carlisle was worth $2 million in your little RFP sale that we did before. Right now, we are extremely upset that you're doing RFPs for two pieces of property, the west lot and the library site, with zero outreach to neighbors. In addition, a couple of those properties, 8100 Hawthorne requires a city referendum to sell it. 63rd and Collins requires a city referendum. And do you guys understand that we're not going to vote for these things? Unless you mark up and play with this library RFP, we're not going to vote for that either. You know, it took $13,000 for Wayne Roberts to stop the Marina Park. And I will donate $13,000 right now to stop any of this. You need to do public outreach. How many neighborhood meetings did you have? You had zero. You didn't go out to the neighbors and ask us about if we want our 63rd and Pine Tree property a park or what we wanted done with it. I'm very upset with you guys. Thank you.
Our next caller is Kristen Rosen Gonzalez.
Kristen Rosen Gonzalez, 4618 Alton Road. What I'm hearing tonight is shocking. I mean, apart from the library, which is an asset that you can never replace, the city of Miami Beach will never have the money to replace that oceanfront lot. You just voted to list properties with no numbers on them, no appraisals. In the RFP for the library, there's no scope of work. The city manager just said to you, I don't even know what you guys want to do. We have no idea what we're planning to do with the oceanfront lot. We have no idea what the scope of work is. So what are you doing? I mean, before you draft an RFP, you have to have an idea of what you're proposing, and you're doing this without even understanding that. And the Barclay, the lot on 63rd and Pine Tree, this is horrible. The city should be acquiring assets, not selling off their assets. This is embarrassing. If you really need money, and I see you dangling the Byron Carlisle in front of other commissioners like a carrot, and I think that that's terrible. I think that you should find the money for the Byron Carlisle, some other place, possibly do a bond for it, but this has to stop. Because you cannot rape the city of Miami Beach of all of its existing properties. It is not right, and I guarantee you that this will never pass at referendum because the people of Miami Beach do not want you to sell off these extremely valuable assets. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the people who are voting for these things. And you shouldn't have listed those properties tonight because those properties should not be sold. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is Ariana.
Hello, hi, thank you. I had logged off. I thought this was over. I guess that nothing will say it's going to change because you guys already voted without public comment. But I do have to comment that I'm disturbed about the insults that some of you have expressed towards the residents. And I'm really shocked about Mayor Gilbert's lies about the emails that he got. Nobody confused the library with the library site and the library lot. I even got your form email, which told me that you had not read mine. And I want to say that the fact that you're in a hurry doesn't mean that democracy is in a hurry. And the process is different. The process has to start with community meetings. Biscayne Beach parking lot should not be sold. These neighbors have fought for years to keep it for the community. So the way that you're going about it, Commissioner Minor is right. You give the appearance of impropriety, and that's as bad as being improper. And so I agree with everybody else. I agree wholeheartedly with what Michael Gongora said. I think that nothing should be put out for sale without community discussions. And that doesn't go, we know the library, there will be a library. This goes for the land, the public land. That goes for the West Lot that you want to give to David Martin. That goes for Biscayne Beach and for everything else. Thank you.
Ends the public comment.
Okay. On something we're not discussing anymore. Okay. Let's,